Hello, friends. I am Chevy. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's fantastic. Everything here is wonderful. And today, I want to talk about taking notes. We had a talk a couple weeks ago, or last week, or when I was studying for the PMP exam about how I'm really bad at taking notes. And during that talk, I talked about a previous talk where I said that I write things so that I can forget them because otherwise they'll get stuck in my head and I can't get them out. So writing them down lets me purge those thoughts. The problem is when I do that, those thoughts are now permanently gone. Like I very, very rarely, if I take notes, I very rarely come back to that thought and go, oh yeah, that was a good thought. I should continue with that. Generally, when I write it down, it's now gone from my life. So I've always avoided note taking for that reason, because if there's something stuck in my head, chances are my brain or my core or some part of me finds that idea extremely valuable to keep thinking about it and ruminating on it over and over and over for days and days and days. If I jump in early in the process and write it down and forget about it, it's gone. So me being me, I've always decided to just let those ideas ruminate until they become fully formed to the point that I can sit down and flesh out the entire thing. Whether that's a game design or a story that I'm working on or a piece of software that I'm working on or a project down here, I tend to hold on to those thoughts until I'm ready to fully realize them. Because if I realize just a part, if I just take the notes, it's gone. That being said, I'm obviously holding a journal in my hand. I'm obviously holding a notebook. And I purchased these. I purchased a 3-pack of this notebook off of Amazon recently. I'll put a link in the description, which, by the way, is an affiliate link. And if I put links down there and you use those links, even if you don't buy the product that I link, if you just buy anything off of Amazon, I get a little kickback. And sometimes that's pretty cool. Like I've gotten 50, 60, 70 bucks a month before. That's neat. So thank you for using those links. And if you haven't used one before and you are interested in journals or whatever, check out the link in the description. I bought this hoping that this little leather thing would fit it. It kind of does. I need to fix it. I made this in 2020 when I was trying to draw a picture every day. I started a series called Try Every Day, and I was publishing a sketch every single day. It fits proportionally. The thing fits around the front pretty well. It's just loose, so I need to figure out how to tighten that up. But anyway, the point is, I bought these because I wanted to start taking notes. I've decided that I'm going to be a note taker, or I'm going to attempt to figure out a way to take notes. At the beginning of the year, I went and looked into bullet journaling. If you don't know what bullet journaling is, it is a way to categorize and organize notes in a journal so that they are easily accessible and that they give you some sort of forecast, or I don't want to really say a plan. That's kind of against the point of bullet journaling. But I really thought about that system. And just like programming, it's a framework, and I'm not really interested in other people's frameworks. Just like programming, just like woodworking, I usually try to reinvent the wheel myself. And I'm doing that here. I'm doing that in this notebook. I've started this notebook. They sat on my counter for weeks because I was kind of waiting for the start of something, the start of anything that needed to be cataloged. And I've decided that this is going to be just a knowledge store. That's all this is going to be. It's not really intended for a scheduling or, ruminating on my past days or feelings or emotions. This is a knowledge store. This is a place where I will keep information that I want to access later, that I will be able to access later because I have started this journal with an index, right? And that index is taken straight from bullet journaling. The idea is you number all the pages. When you have a note on a page that relates to something, you index that. You say, all right, on here, piece of software I'm working on, and I put page numbers. And so if I'm working on whatever, I can flip through here and find that information at a moment's notice, which I enjoy. I enjoy that idea very much. Yesterday, that led me down a rabbit hole. I discovered something called PKM, or Personal Knowledge Management. I don't know why everything needs an acronym, but whatever. Personal Knowledge Management appears to be like this whole subset of apps and websites and places where you can put notes that are categorized and linked by subject and topic, and nearly every word can link, and you can have a mind map view of what you're thinking about at any given time. And I went down this whole, man, I'm baffled, because as a very bad note taker, not only does writing notes mean I forget whatever it is I wrote down, just going through with taking the notes is like tedious to me. And I've always found it that way. I've always found that I retain the information better if I don't write it down. And so writing it down is like just some chore that I have to do. And I can't imagine trying to put all of that into some sort of database that I can access through some app. And it just doesn't work for me. I've tried digital note taking. I've tried Evernote for years. I tried, is Evernote the Microsoft one? There was another one that Microsoft did. I tried. I just couldn't get into it. I have a Google Keep, which I do keep notes in Google Keep, but it's usually like shopping lists and recipes and, thoughts that I want to ruminate on from time to... Man, I've said ruminate. How many times have I said ruminate this episode? If you know the count, let me know. Thoughts that I want to kind of revisit later, or quotes or things like that. I don't really use it to store knowledge that I want to retrieve, but that's what I'm hoping this will become. So the start of that something is the software that I'm working on. I'm currently working on the software that will enable me to work on the software, meaning that I'm working on my own personal framework, which is something that I have developed over years of writing software, and it's just I hesitate to call it a framework. It's more or less just a way to organize code, which is a framework. I would say it's an extremely micro framework. It doesn't do any of the fancy stuff that frameworks do. It doesn't do any error handling or error checking or input validation. It does none of that. That's not what it's intended for. It's more or less just a way of organizing my code in a structured way that the program can iterate through it and pull out the pieces that it needs, and I, as a developer, can look through the code easily and pull out pieces that I need. And I thought, well, that's it. That's the project that's going to start this whole adventure with note taking, and I'm going to attempt to continue with that. I also fully intend to keep drawing. I want to go back to drawing, but I'm not going to try to stick to myself. I'm not going to try to stick myself to some regiment. Like, I'm going to draw a drawing every day. I am going to draw. This is intended to be like a brain dumpy notebook where I can put notes and I can put ideas. I can put charts or thoughts or drawings or whatever I want in here at the time that I need to. I'm not putting pressure on myself to do it every day. I'm not just, when I need to take note, I will have this with me and I will take a note. And we'll see. I hope to at least fill up one of these. I bought 3 of them. They're a 3-pack. I hope to fill up one and see if it helps, because everybody, I've never filled up a journal. I've started hundreds of them. I've never filled one up. We'll see what happens. That's my goal with this, to fill it up. We'll see if I pull that off. Do you take notes? Do you journal? Do you have some sort of knowledge store, or have you used one of these PKM apps? I would love to have a conversation about that. Please tell me about it in the comments below, because I think I've gotten to the age where I need to start taking notes. I need to start storing some of my thoughts, otherwise they're going to be gone. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends, wonderful people. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should notice sounds smart as malapropism. It is a noun meaning deliberate misuse of a word or mangling of the English language, often done for comic effect. Since Emily refused to take elocution lessons like the rest of us, her speech is constantly marred by ridiculous malapropisms. Malapropism. M-A-L-A-P-R-O-P-I-S-M. I think I use malapropism all the time. It is something that I do for funsies, but off the top of my head, I don't have a good example. And now I wish I hadn't gone down that train of thought.